Okay, everybody, we are now live on YouTube, so we are broadcasting. The meeting is not started yet, but the rest of everyone else is here. Who just called in on a cell phone?
Councilor O'Brien.
Councilor O'Brien.
The video's off. Oh.
Hello, Chief.
Good evening, all.
Hi, Chief. Evening, Chief. Kathy here. How
Good
are you?
evening.
Kathy. Beautiful night out.
I can't.
Joe, you ready to go?
I think Clerk Waddick needs a second.
Okay.
How we doing?
Paul, he is ready, so I'm gonna sort of disappear now.
Clerk Waddick, you all set?
I am.
All right. The Waltham City Council will come to order on Thursday, August 6, 2020 at 5 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
George A. Darcy III.
Present.
Karen Dunn.
Present.
Sean T. Durkee.
Present.
Kathy Ann Harris.
Present.
Joseph P. LaCava.
Present.
Anthony LaFosse.
Present.
Randall J. LeBlanc. Christine A. Mackin.
Present.
John J. McLaughlin.
Present.
Kathleen B. McMenamin.
Present?
Patrick J. O'Brien.
Present.
Jonathan Paz.
Present.
Thomas M. Stanley.
Present.
Carlos A. Vidal.
Present.
President Paul J. Brasco.
Present.
And just before, I didn't hear Councilor LeBlanc. I don't know if he's logged on. All right. I don't. All right. 14 present, Mr. President.
All rise while the city clerk recites the council prayer.
Almighty God, we ask thy guidance in all our deliberations.
Amen.
Please remain standing while the city council president leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
The
United
flag.
States,
United States of America.
to the republic for
The
which it
republic for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under
one
God,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
visible,
with liberty and justice
liberty,
for all.
justice for all.
Please remain standing as we have a moment of silence for all our troops in Afghanistan and Iraq and all over the world supporting them, especially for the ones who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms we enjoy today. Thank you. Please be seated, councilors. Under the provisions of Section 2.5 of the City Charter, I call this special meeting of the Waltham City Council to discuss two matters left on the table at the special meeting of August 3rd, 2020, as a result of the invocation of Section 2.9 of the City Charter. No other matters shall be discussed at this time. This meeting is being conducted via Zoom remotely and can be followed by the public on the City of Waltham YouTube channel and on Waltham Community Access Corporation MAC channel, channel 43 for Verizon subscribers, channel 98 for the Comcast subscribers, and channel 15 for the RCN subscribers. The first matter before us, the clerk will read. Mr. Clerk? Oh, you're on mute, I'm sorry.
Transfer of funds totaling $270,000 to fund the first 2 years of the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Police Superior Officers Union for the period July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022. The Finance Committee recommended approval of this matter. Section 2.9 of the city charter was invoked by Councilor Mackin when the committee's recommendation was reported to the council on August 4th, 2020.
Councilor Carver moves the action of the committee be the action of the council. First on my list is Councilor Paz. Can unmute.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate the work that went into this. I don't see this being delayed any further. So I just want to speak my part. First and foremost, I want to give credit to the mayor. I heard she's a tough negotiator. And knowing what the collective bargaining process looks like, I've been in the union world for a long time. I know it's not easy. It's hard to align what interests are on behalf of the police union and then what are the best interests for the city. So I just want to commend the mayor for her hard work here and all the other folks who made this possible. However, I cannot, in good conscience, vote in support of this. I think we made a request. We agreed in June to have the Committee of Public Works and Public Safety agreed to have this, to actually have data from the police department. We're still waiting on that. In all fairness to the police department, they do have until September 1st. But I can't look at my constituents and say, hey, we voted on transparency here. And, you know, I'm going to vote on this matter before I have all the information, all the data before me. So respectfully, I can't vote on this. I can't support it. But I do want to say I welcome the opportunity. I appreciate the communication from the mayor. I would appreciate if we can look into having an ad hoc committee to see how we can actually collaborate and improve our approach to public safety. I think the mayor had some ideas as to how we can have better procedures and policies. So I welcome that opportunity. And I think that there's a lot more work to be done here. And I welcome the opportunity to work collaboratively on this. Just on these two specific union contracts, I cannot be in support until I have all the data in front of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Paz. First time around, Councilor Mackin.
Thank you very much. So I have some prepared remarks on this matter. In all of the previous discussions that this council has had relative to police funding, what I hear predominantly from my colleagues is their respect for the sworn officers of the Waltham Police Force. I'm very sympathetic to these concerns and to these officers. I attended the Waltham Police Citizens Academy, and I personally heard from officers about the physical toll that their training takes, the mental toll of their daily work, and especially of the active shooter drills that they have conducted in recent years. And particularly impactful to me, I heard about the emotional toll of investigating a child rape case right here in Waltham. These concerns are definitely important, and the people who serve our community deserve an appropriate level of support. But what I haven't routinely heard from my colleagues on this council is an equivalent level of concern for the tens of thousands of other Waltham residents we represent. We have heard no discussion of traffic stops where members of our community may legitimately fear for their lives. We have heard no discussion about how members of our community feel profiled, how they feel unsafe, and how they feel targeted. We have heard nothing, no discussion about the bruises and the wounds left on the bodies of people of the Waltham community who are simply trying to survive day to day. I have heard these stories and I have personally seen those wounds, both physical and emotional. If my colleagues have not seen or heard these stories, it is because I believe they have chosen not to listen. These stories are discussed publicly on open forums. If you aren't hearing about this, it's because you've decided not to put yourself in spaces where these conversations are happening. Or it's because you have made yourself so unsafe to speak to, so unreceptive an audience that people have stopped trying to reach you. And that is not the function of a representative government working for the people. The message I heard from these people today is a request to wait, to please wait. Because as I will quote directly, it is essential that the public, especially those who are disproportionately impacted by our police department, be provided with a real opportunity to fully review and provide substantive input before the council votes on the matter. The public deserves a real debate, And claiming that the council is not involved in union negotiations is to abscond completely from our oversight duties. The public deserves the time to fully consider and respond both to our actions as a council and to the substance of these issues. That is not possible in the course of a single special meeting taking place in one night in the summer. That is why I invoked Section 2.9 of the city charter. And I do not believe a substantial debate is possible at 1:30 a.m. after significant discussion on many other issues at that time of the night and with very few members of the public still watching. Nor do I believe the majority of our Waltham residents have yet received the same level of consideration that this council has reserved for the sworn officers of the Waltham Police Department, who I reiterate do deserve consideration and do deserve a voice in this matter. That's why I look forward to the formation of an ad hoc committee to further consider this issue, to take into account all of the voices in our community and to make sure everyone's stories are being heard. At this time, I intend to make a motion to suspend this question to a definite time, that date being September 14th. Unlike a motion to table, this motion is both debatable and amendable, and it establishes a firm commitment from the council for additional consideration of this matter. If this motion fails, as it did in the Finance Committee this Monday, I will vote no on approval of the union contract on behalf of those people who do not share this council's positions, whose voices are not being heard, and who deserve equal consideration. Therefore, at this time, I would like to make a subsidiary motion to suspend to a definite time of September 14th for consideration of the motion to approve.
The motion by Councilor Mackin is to suspend to a date certain of September the 14th. On the motion to suspend to a date certain. On the motion is, I see Vice President McMinimum first on my list.
Mr. President, I understand Councilor LeBlanc has joined us, if I may call him in attendance. Councilor Randall J. LeBlanc.
Present.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The motion is now by Councilor Mackin to suspend to a date certain of September 14th for the matter before us. My Vice President McMinimum, you have the floor.
What is the time limit, Mr. President, for me?
10 minutes.
Thank you. So let me begin by saying I have no intention of supporting this motion to suspend by the councilor from Ward 7. The councilor tried a very similar set of parliamentary regulations, rules, which that same councilor and others accused the majority of the city council of using against them over the last month and a half. It's interesting when the tables turn, how convenient it is to use the proper rules in front of us. I will not support suspension, and I will tell you that the failure of the maker of the motion to suspend is her own doing. When we deliberated this issue, not me, but originally the Public Works Committee, and there is a long history to how we have achieved this point of division. The division is not from the majority of the city councilors. The division has been caused by the councilor from Ward 7 with help from the councilor from Ward 9. Now, this city council had every obligation to review this in a timely fashion, and they did. Not one councilor or two, 15. And when those councilors, including myself, had a chance to review this, it was brought out, at which time, in the last meeting, June 23rd of this year, the councilor from Ward 7 and the councilor from Ward 9 were told, after their objection that evening to the matter, which is not related in any manner, shape, or form to the matter we're talking about this evening, to that matter of defunding the 3 line items of the police budget, which the councilor from Ward 7 tried to do that evening, she was told that because she objected that there would be nothing left on the table should the council pass the first and the second part of the resolution that she brought in, which was modified by the council, passed by 13 members of the council, 13 members of the city council, at which time she was told she could bring in a resolution at the summer meeting on August 3rd of this year, which would allow for a similar type of resolution to allow for discussion by the full council, not an ad hoc committee. I don't know if I want an ad hoc committee. I want discussion just as much as she does, but I don't want it a one-way discussion.
Councilor McMenamin, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to let you know that under Rule 29, I apologize, I misspoke. There's 10 minutes of debate on the motion, but 3 minutes for each speaker. So
is my time up?
your time would be up, yes, but I can come back to you on the main matter as your hand was up as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McMenamin. Next on my list on the motion to suspend to a time definite. Councilor Durkee, are you going to be on the main motion or you want to be on this motion to suspend to a date certain?
This motion, Mr. President.
All right, Councilor Durkee, you're next on my list.
I just wanted to let the public know that first of all, the city council is not involved in the negotiation of any contracts, and that is not the matter of which we are voting on. We are simply voting on a transfer of funds based on the mayor's request. So I have received communications from people who, for whatever reason, believe we are somehow negotiating a police union contract. We don't. This is a matter of, in my opinion, worker rights. Workers who negotiated in good faith with the mayor's office have been waiting for a raise for over 1 year. People are waiting for thousands of dollars in their paychecks to support their families. As this is a transfer of funds, that's all we're voting for, not voting for a contract. I will be in support of the main matter, but as far as this motion goes, I will not continue this any further. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Councilor Durkee. First time around on my list is Councilor Paz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I just would like to, I kind of agree with Councilor Durkee, excuse me. I don't think there's any point in delaying this any further. I think people made up their minds a long time ago. I just would like to reiterate to the councilor from Capella Road, there is no us versus them. Like there's no need to demonize other councilors. You know, I don't do that. I didn't get elected to do that. I don't try to, you know, just work with one councilor. When I was working with the public works and public safety on those 3 requests, I contacted everybody. And I contacted everyone in finance, and I expressed my concern about the importance of having a more transparent process. And if people want to support our police department, they have every right to. You know, and that's you know, that's their right. But no, I don't think even Councilor from Ward 7, like, I don't think people are trying to be divisive, at least on my end. And I don't try to gain political points by trying to throw people under the bus. I just have that. I had to express my position. I think transparency is important. And of course, I respect workers' rights. But it's like, it's important for us to also exercise our you know, charter-given power that's oversight. And that's, I think, something that we all have to practice and consider. But I don't see the need to delay this any further. I think people have already made up their minds. I would just really appreciate if we try not to demonize each other, because that's not how we're going to get things done. Again, what I'm trying to have is a more collaborative approach to this conversation and see where we can actually work through if there's any middle ground. Whatever we can do, we should do it, because that's what people want us to do. Taxpayers of all kinds. There's no us versus them. Taxpayers are taxpayers, voters are voters. So just would like to humbly remind Councilor from Capella Road that we're all working here in the best interest of the city. The same way I would assume that the police department's working in the best interest of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. With the 10 minutes of debate on to suspend to a date certain, that time being up, the vote will be put to put forth on the motion to suspend on the motion by Counselor Mackin
I would
to
like a roll
suspend
call.
to a date certain. Vice President McMinnim, request a roll call. Roll call, with the clerk call the roll.
Mr. President, can we have Councilor LeBlanc shut off his mic because all I'm hearing is his feedback from his mic, please? Thank you.
Counselor LeBlanc, Counselor Randy LeBlanc, if there's a way to mute your phone while you're able to listen in, that would be great. Clerk Waddick, if you'd call the roll.
George A. Darcy III,
No.
Karen Dunn, Karen Dunn,
Oh, sorry. No.
Sean T. Durkee,
No.
Kathy Ann Harris,
No.
Joseph P. LaCava,
No.
Anthony LaFosse,
No.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
No.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
No.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
No,
Patrick J. O'Brien,
No.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
No.
Carlos A. Vidal,
No.
Chair wishes to vote. Chair votes no, 13-2. Counselor Mackin, your motion to suspend to a date certain fails. You have the floor.
Thank you. Before we go to the main motion, which I expect we will relatively expeditiously, I would like to make two important notes for the benefit of counselors and the public to understand. The first is that this is a retroactive pay raise. So at approval, all of the members of the union will get a chunk of change that puts this raise into effect for the entire time period from July 1st, 2019 until now. So we aren't depriving anyone of money that they've earned by delaying this. The second important point is at the very bottom of the contract, right above the signatures, it says, no portion of this agreement shall be effective unless ratified and funded. So the council's support of this financial transfer constitutes ratification of this union contract. And I want that point to be quite clear to all of my constituents who are watching at home. Thank you.
Okay, on the main motion, Councilor LaCava moves the action committee, the action of the council. On the main motion, I have first on my list, Councilor McMinnim, Vice President McMinnim again.
thank you very much. Can you hear me, Mr. President?
We can.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's a lot of confusion that has taken place over the matter that we're dealing with right now, which is the contractual ratification of, is it the Superior Police we're doing first? Yes, the Superior Police Association's contract. Is there something in the background that we could ask who's ever making that swishing noise, if they could please mute that? It would help. Thank you. So originally, a resolution came to the city council on or around June 1st that was written by the Ward 7 councilor, and it had two portions to it. It actually had one resolution with 3 whereases, and now therefore be it resolved in 2 parts. Social media erupted before any member of this city council saw that resolution the night before. I'm giving a little history here because this has got to come out here. And the truthful explanation of what's happened here has to be put out for the public to understand this, and the confusion has to stop. I'm not confusing this. I'm very clear as to what happened. So when that resolution was put out into social media, someone called me and said, do you know you've got a resolution that is coming in tomorrow, Thursday, to meet the deadline for the Monday evening meeting regarding Black Lives Matter and defunding the police department. Oh, excuse me, it did not say that. Excuse me. It said working with what Chief McPherson had presented as a plan. I said, I have no idea. And I was very busy as a member of the Finance Committee trying to deal with the budget with a brand new chairman who, for the first time, was going to be dealing with the budget that we all knew was going to have at some point a shortfall. And I was hoping that I didn't have to do anything, and I didn't, because the mayor did it all. She managed to create a budget that we all could support and that she thinks is going forward, going to make it through at least until the first of the year. And I agree with that. So dealing with all of that, this resolution was not on my front burner until the calls started to come in. And I then began to understand this was something that I didn't quite know what was happening. And then I read that any council was invited to sign on, but the language was exactly as was stated, and there was no way to edit this resolution that was coming before us on a Monday evening.
Point of personal privilege.
Councilor Mackin on the point of personal privilege.
Thank you. I just want to be quite clear. I sent to the city clerk at that time a document in Google Word, which had editing powers turned on so that councilors could add their names. However, I requested that for the security of the document, people not make editorial changes. I was quite clear later on that people were welcome to make substantive changes to the text of the resolution, which was done in the committee of the whole. And I'd like to thank, the Public Works Committee. And I'd like to thank the Ward 8 councilor for those notes, but I do not appreciate the misrepresentation of the way this resolution was crafted.
Thank you, Councilor Mackin. Vice President McMahon, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'll continue with what I have to say. The council is very free under the First Amendment to say whatever she feels she thinks she has to, as do I. So I waited till Monday evening. When the resolution was read and presented to us, there was already a plan in place to pass the first whereas and to table the second whereas in order to discuss the police in whatever format the discussion was supposed to take place going forward. As the time moved on from that resolution, every single one of the members of our city council, I myself am still trying to work through probably 150 to 175 emails from a variety of people who began to tell me that I was a woman of white privilege, that they wanted the police SROs taken out of the schools, that they wanted an entire review of all of the police activity in the budget, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a lot of confusion on my part from that one resolution, which was misspelled and grammatically incorrect. There was a lot of confusion on my part as to actually what I was supposed to be looking at, thinking about, and doing. The following week, when we asked for it to be sent to committee so that we all could take a look at it, it was sent to the Committee of Public Safety because it dealt with the police. Now, it was reviewed in Public Safety, and it came out to us with a vote, and then it was reviewed on the full council floor again. And from that time onward, I thought I was supposed to be looking at a resolution that was to do some mitigating justice to the terrible death of the man named George Floyd, who was killed by a police officer in Minneapolis on a night about 2.5 months ago, maybe not even that long. I thought I was supposed to be dealing with the concept of how unjust that was. It was an act of murder. It was brutal. And I was dealing with that until things began to get a little confused. It no longer became about the death of George Floyd. It became a larger message. And then it became a message that I wasn't quite sure I understood. So in the working of the language of the resolution that we passed, by all of the emails that I received anyway, the people who were emailing me on both sides of the issue, on the Black Lives Matter side, as well as defund the police side, and each had a side pro and con, the people who were emailing me were saying to me, well, show us that you believe Black Lives Matter and show us that the police have a need to be reviewed. I believe that the entire city council, in an effort of transparency, as is spoken about frequently, has done that. And have done it now since the middle of June. This is now August 6th. We have deliberated, discussed, listened, and done what the people asked us to do. That was on the matter of the 3 items, line items in the budget of fiscal year 2021 that we were asked to review, the 3 items that were offered to be defunded by the councilor from Ward 7 that did not, those defunding items did not pass. And the budget passed in its entirety. Now we're taking the matter to a different level. This is no longer about George Floyd. It's no longer about Black Lives Matter. It is now about defunding our police force. Now, if you want to get into a larger context over the United States, there's anarchy happening everywhere. You don't see that in this city. What you see in this city are rational, reasonable, thoughtful, deliberative people. And we are. And I intend to continue that way. Now, I have no problem discussing what both councilors seem to think they want to discuss, which is something about the police. But they didn't do, they failed to do what they were suggested to do, which was to bring in a resolution of some sort on the night of August 3rd and bring it into the council. We would now have something on the floor that we could attach all of the ongoing information to. There is nothing. And if you want, I'll write the resolution for September. And we'll have something on the floor. And I'll be happy. I don't want an ad hoc committee. I want an open discussion, a transparent discussion, a clear discussion, all about this. And I want every city councilor involved in it. So, has anyone made, I am speaking on the motion to go to a meeting of September 14th. No, I will not support that.
Councilor McMenamin, that failed. Councilor, we're actually on the main motion, which is Councilor LaCava moves the action committee to be the action of council.
I am
So
in
this
full
is-
support of that main motion of the committee. I was on the committee, 3 members of the committee. By the way, we had this, most of you were not down there. We had this discussion downstairs. The councilor from Ward 7 tried to do the same thing downstairs in the finance committee at midnight when we were discussing this, or 1 o'clock, whatever time it was, and she failed to achieve the votes. She failed 3 or 4 to 1. And then she brought it upstairs and tried again, and she failed again. So I will support the action of the committee. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vice President McMenamin. First time around, Chairman LaCava.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I go through my notes, a lot of things have already been discussed and I don't feel it necessary to be repetitive on them. I will say that I will remind everyone that these union contracts, along with every union contract in the city, are public documents. They can be accessed at any time through a request of our body or a request through the auditor. So to say that we haven't had any ample time to review these documents is not correct, as we can have these requested at any time. So if we know anything before us, or if this is something that we would like to have reviewed, this could have been done at any time by any person in the city, not just on our body. And I would like to point that out. Even some, I believe some of the City of Waltham contracts are even accessible online. And to be quite frank, as a counselor who supported the Council from Ward 7's motions in June, I want to repeat what I also said then was, our police department is not on trial here. Something happened 1,000 miles away and was horrific. Our police department does a great job, and I will support them. I love our police department, as I always have, and I love this entire city. I will absolutely be in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Carver. First time around, Council McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, this matter was negotiated in good faith by both the union and the city. I have no intention of undoing that good work that was completed at the negotiating table. I'll be supporting the motion to approve this. I also want to point out the mayor's August 4th communication that we just received to the city council, citing her intention to review the Waltham Police Department policies and procedures in the city ordinances. I just want to say I look forward to working with the mayor on this review, and I hope the rest of the council looks forward to that too. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Council
Mr. President.
Thank you, Council McLaughlin. Is that Councilor O'Brien that I just heard?
Yes, sir. May I speak? I'm on the phone only. I can't see who's in the queue.
Councilor O'Brien, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I've been on the council. This is my 15th year on and off, and I first got on 20 years ago. And I remember in the first few months, one of the departments of the city were down protesting at City Hall because they were upset with the negotiations that weren't happening. And you know, I was brand new. I didn't really know how things worked yet. And, you know, I thought I could jump right into it, and I was ready to come down and make a speech and say how these workers deserve their raise. And a lot of the veterans on the council, you know, right before I got up to speak, came over to me and said, no, you know, we're not involved with the details of the collective bargaining. That is the executive branch. That is the purview of the mayor and the department heads who are involved with those negotiations. They're very complex, and the council is not involved with the day-to-day negotiation of collective bargaining. Never has been and never should be. And you do not want to get into this, because if you do, you're going to open up a whole can of worms, and you're going to have to be involved with all 28 departments in the negotiations. And it's going to get very messy when you have 15 councilors. So that's why we have a strong executive branch. And you know, so I learned that. I said, okay, I didn't know that was our role. So it's always been the role. And I feel that it would be a mistake to try to insert ourselves into it now. You know, what the legal implications would be of that, what type of lawsuit that could come about from it. There are you know, an impact downstream. So, you know, there's a lot of important national issues. Historically, the council has tried to focus on the day-to-day operations of the city, you know, helping people with power outages, helping people with potholes, street openings, projects, those types of things. And that's, you know, really what we focus on. We have big projects in the pipeline, you know, the bike path, we have the high school, we have the intersection at Totten Pond Road. I can go on, things that need to be finished. And, you know, certainly everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but we really need to stick to our jobs. And, you know, if people disagree, they certainly can have the right to disagree, and they can certainly run for office. They can run for a ward, or they could run a lodge or a school committee and bring their platforms forward. But, you know, we're all trying to do the right thing for the city to make it a better place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor O'Brien. No further speakers. Councilor Carver moves the action of the committee be the action of the council of the transfer of funds totaling $270,000 to fund the first 2 years of a collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Police Superior Officers Union for a period of July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. Clerk will call the roll.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn. Karen Dunn,
Those voting, please unmute yourself.
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Is Councilor LeBlanc muted? If you can unmute Councilor LeBlanc.
all right. Christine A. Mackin,
No.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes,
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
No.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
Chair wishes to vote. Chair votes yes.
13 in favor, 2 opposed.
By your action, you have approved of the transfer of funds totaling $270,000. The next matter before us is number 2. If the clerk would read number 2, please.
Transfer of funds totaling $660,000 to fund the first 2 years of the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Police Patrol Officers Union for the period July 1st, 2019 to July 30th, 2022. The Finance Committee recommended approval of this matter. Section 2.9 of the city charter was invoked by Councilor Mackin when the committee's recommendation was reported to the city council on August 4, 2020.
Councilor Carver moves the action committee with the action of the council on the motion. I have, is Vice President McMenamin, your hand up again?
yes, it is. And for all the same reasons that I spoke about with the first item on the agenda this evening, and for many of the reasons that the other councilors have articulated individually, I support a vote, a positive vote for this matter this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President McMenamin. Chairman LaCava, is your hand up again?
No, I apologize.
Okay. Further questions by councilors? There being none. Councilor LaCava moves the action committee with the action of the council for the transfer of funds totaling $660,000 to fund the first 2 years of the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the Police Patrol Officers Union for a period of July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. Clerk, call the roll.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
John T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
No.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes,
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
No.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
Chair wishes to vote. Chair votes yes.
13 in favor, 2 opposed.
By your action, you have approved of the transfer of funds totaling $660,000. There are no new matters before the city council with regards to these 2 matters that were brought forth before us for this special meeting on August the 6th. Wish of the committee.
Mr.
Motion to
President,
adjourn.
I would make a motion that we adjourn and remind the councilors that the mayor has called a special meeting immediately after this. So, Mr. President, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Okay, on the motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are standing adjournment of the special meeting called by the city council president at 5:42 p.m. I'll remind all councilors, as Vice President McMenamin just did, that we have now will call a special meeting of the Waltham City Council Thursday, August 6, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Just a moment, Mr. President. We're usually we transition from one meeting to the other. All right. George A. Darcy III,
Present.
Karen Dunn,
Present.
Sean T. Durkee,
Present.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Present.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Present.
Anthony LaFosse,
Present.
Randall J. LeBlanc, Christine A. Mackin,
Present.
John J. McLaughlin,
Present.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Present?
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Present.
Jonathan Paz,
Present.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Present.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Present.
President Paul J. Brasco,
Present. And I also see that Council Blank is still on the screen, so I believe he is present for the meeting. He may be on mute if you want to try to call his call. Council
Randall
Blank.
J. LeBlanc,
He is present on the screen.
Present.
all right,
Council-
15 present, Mr. President.
All rise while the city clerk recites the council prayer.
Almighty God, we ask thy guidance in all our deliberations.
Amen.
Please remain standing while the city council president leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Flag
States of
United
America,
States of America,
to the republic for
to
which
the
it
republic
stands,
for which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under
indivisible,
God,
with
indivisible,
liberty and justice
liberty
for
and
all.
justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our troops in Afghanistan and Iraq and all over the world supporting them, and especially for the ones who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms that we enjoy today. Thank you, councilors. Please be seated. Under the provisions of Section 3-10 of the City Charter, the Mayor, Jeanette McCarthy, called this special meeting of the Waltham City Council to discuss two matters. This meeting is being conducted remotely via Zoom and can be followed by the public on the City of Waltham YouTube channel and on Waltham Community Access Mac Corporation channel, channel 43 for Verizon subscribers, channel 98 for the Comcast subscribers, and channel 15 for the RCN subscribers. If the clerk would call the first matter before the City Council.
Mayor respectfully requests the acceptance of a fiscal year 2019 AFG Officer Training Grant in the amount of $328,587.27. That's the federal share, and $32,858.73. That's the city share, for a total of $361,446. This grant must be accepted within 30 days.
Councilor Carver moves to suspend Rule 39 to act on this matter without committee reference. On the motion to suspend the rules to act on this matter without committee reference, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed
Aye.
or object? There being none, the matter is before us. I know that Chief McInnes is on the line. Councilor Carver.
Chief, thank you. I believe you're joining us. Can you give us a quick rundown of this? This is quite an elaborate amount of money. We're glad to see this is before us.
Thank you, and thank you for having us tonight. This is the same grant that we got last year. Last year's grant was a little bit more. That was for the new SCBA's that we've purchased, and they are in service, and they're a great addition. That grant was for $656,000. This year, we put in for a grant for training. It's officer training. It's gonna really help us out on with the money. The federal share, as you said, was 328 and change, and the city share is 32 and change, for a total of 361. I have to take a back step on this, because my doings in this was not as much as the guys that were involved in this. I have to give a shout out to the training division, Deputy Pratt, Captain John Bonadillo, Lieutenant Jim Perry, Fire Prevention Lieutenant Scott Perry, and especially Deputy Chief Randy Mullen, who is here with me tonight. And if you have a minute, I'd like to have him speak on this a little bit, because he was the one that was heavily involved in this and in writing the grant. So I'd like to turn it over to him for a second, if that would be possible.
Mr.
Counsel-
President, I will make a motion to hear from all off-committee members this evening in this meeting.
Vice President McMillan makes a motion to suspend the rules to hear from off-committee members. On the motion to suspend the rules, all in favor say aye.
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 Those or object? There being none. I believe that's Mr. Mullen.
Thank you for having us tonight. This grant, the Fire Assistance Grant, it's a national grant. It's extremely competitive. There's about 9,000 grants across the country. And talking with the Region 1, which is what we're in, coordinator, they expect possibly up to 1,500 awards. So it's very select, and the fact that we got this 2 years in a row is very fortunate for the city. This grant will allow us to train 48 members to the Fire Instructor 1 and Fire Officer 1 level. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you for this. Councilor Coffey, you still have the floor.
I do not have any questions at this time. We have everything in front of us. They explained it. So at this time, I will make a motion for approval.
On the motion for approval. Further questions by councilors?
I would like a roll call, Mr. President, please.
On the motion for approval, Councilor LaCava makes a motion for approval of the grant in the total amount of $361,446, and the clerk will call the roll.
George A. Darcy III,
Yes.
Karen Dunn,
Yes.
Sean T. Durkee,
Yes.
Kathy Ann Harris,
Yes.
Joseph P. LaCava,
Yes.
Anthony LaFosse,
Yes.
Randall J. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Christine A. Mackin,
Yes.
John J. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Kathleen B. McMenamin,
Yes.
Patrick J. O'Brien,
Yes.
Jonathan Paz,
Yes.
Thomas M. Stanley,
Yes.
Carlos A. Vidal,
Yes.
Paul J. Brasco. Sorry, Mr. President.
Chair wishes to vote. Chair votes yes.
15 in favor.
By your action, you've approved of the mayor's request for the acceptance of a grant in the total of $361,446. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you again for your assistance in getting the
Thank you
grant.
all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
The next
Thank
matter
you.
before us, if the clerk would read.
Communication regarding a review of police department policies and procedures and city ordinances. Information only.
Okay, this matter is asking for no action of the city council. All councilors should have received a letter from the mayor. If you'd like, I can read that letter for the public. It's dated August 4th, 2020, to the city council review of the police department policies, procedures, and city ordinances. Dear councils, in addition to the accreditation of the Waltham Police Department obtained on its own in the 1990s, the first in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, my professor at Northeastern University's Graduate School of Criminal Justice, who was an expert in police policies and procedures, was asked to review the Waltham Police Department's policies and procedures. As part of the accreditation process, those policies and procedures are reviewed on an ongoing basis and every 3 years for re-accreditation. I will undertake a review of the department's policies and procedures once again, and I ask that the city council to work with me and the chief on a review of any applicable city ordinances. I will have further details once I research impartial assistance. Respectfully submitted, Jeanette A. McCarthy, Mayor of the City of Waltham. That was informational purposes only with no action required. Therefore, the wish of the committee with regards to no matters before us at this time.
Move to adjourn.
On the motion to adjourn, I believe it was Councilor Paz on the motion to adjourn of the special meeting of the City Council on August 6th, requested by the mayor. On the motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
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 Oppose or object? There being none, the Waltham City Council stands in adjournment at 5:53 p.m. Good night. Take care, folks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the mayor.